This is a pizza, this is a salad, and this is a soup. This is a golden egg and silver gnocchi, and this is me reading a newspaper and me looking into a mirror at dinner. Oh, and this dish doesn't even exist. This restaurant will make you believe that magic is real. It's a 30-course, 4-hour-long meal, and every single dish will stun you, shock you, and make you want more. This is Disfrutar in Barcelona. Disfrutar is the #2 restaurant in the world, but my prediction is that sometime in the next year, the title of this video will say something about the #1 restaurant in the world. It's that good. It also just received its 3rd Michelin star, and their 30-course menu costs $275 per person. So today, we're gonna see what this magical dinner here looks like and whether or not it's worth the price. Quick disclaimer, I'm going to show you from start to finish what this meal looks like. So if you want to see an insane meal with some of the coolest dishes you'll ever see, keep watching. But if you want to be surprised if you ever go, then here's your warning. Anyway, let's go. When you enter, it seems like a normal restaurant, but from the very first interaction, you can already tell that you will have no idea what's going on. We started with 2 transparent drinks that flavor water with essence. One was flavored with coffee and another was a fruit drink made from lulo. And already I was shocked at how much flavor could be packed into water. It tasted like the actual drinks. But the first official dish on the menu took me by surprise. This is literally what people make fun of fine dining for, a collection of singular microherbs arranged in ascending order where you eat them one by one, and on the bottom is a tomato jelly. The concept here was that each of these microherbs was a concentration of flavor. Now, I was skeptical, but it turned out to be true. One was peppery, another was sweet, another tasted like oysters, and it was super unexpected because you never expect that much flavor to be packed into a single microherb because it's usually topped on other dishes, so you don't really notice it. This was followed by a fun little trick, a liquid salad and a solid soup. The soup was a tomato gazpacho polverón, and the salad was obviously drinkable. Now, this next dish was so fun, so unique, and really just a brilliant concept. It was smoked butter with caviar, except the butter was this solid, frozen, aerated foam. And they even had a magnifying glass to look at all the little bubbles in the butter, and a tiny little man so you can see the scale of the magnifying glass. Okay, so this menu gets even crazier, but Disfrutar has a special place in my heart because my most viral restaurant video ever, getting more than 20 million views, was my first experience here at Disfrutar. And I think one of the reasons that people loved it so much was it was just something that they've never seen before. It's mind-bending, it's weird, it's not what a restaurant should be, and yet it's fun and delicious and exciting all at the same time. Now we've hit the part of the menu where things really take off. They're just showing off all of the different molecular and scientific techniques that they use in dish after dish. Spherified cockles and olives that explode in your mouth, a suspended fluffy bao with white asparagus, anchovies, and tangerines that was a bit briny from the anchovies and a bit sweet from the tangerines. A crunchy porcini mushroom that basically just disappears the moment that you bite into it, but leaves you with an explosion of that mushroom flavor, and their flourless pizza that's made with Japanese oblate paper and topped with porcini mushrooms. I mean, just look at how light and airy the inside of that is. But it doesn't stop there.
With this alcohol, with a lot of mushrooms, and after a month, thanks to this machine that is making the process faster, we get this on mushroom vinegar.
And if that wasn't cool enough, we finished this section with their onion bread and onion soup. Basically, they create this meltable onion bread, pour the hot onion soup over it, and it's just the most pure onion dish ever. At this point, you're probably wondering, how do they even do this? Well, the 3 chefs all came from this one restaurant called El Bulli, which is widely regarded as the most creative restaurant in history. They're famous for having over 1,500 recipes and never really repeating techniques year over year, and this sort of training produces some of the most creative and inventive chefs around the world, like Grant Achatz of Alinea or Rene Redzepi in Noma. By the way, I actually have a video on Noma coming out soon, so make sure to subscribe to see some of the craziest food around the world. Now we get to what I think is the most fun part of the menu, because it's just playful and different from what you'd expect in fine dining. You start off with a beautiful dish that has silver gnocchi with tahini, mollusks, and peas, before upgrading to a golden dish called the goose that laid the golden eggs. But of course, this is not an egg yolk. It's actually a chili crab curry when you cut into it. And then after this, you're given a newspaper of all things for for the next course.
Calçots are traditional onions from here from Catalonia. We take the calçots when it's the season, we make it, and we dry it. You can see here that always is made with fire, directly fire.
I mean, the fact that they can weave interesting history with molecular gastronomy techniques and keep it fun and lighthearted is a skill that I haven't really seen before. Now, so far the dishes have been surprising and delightful, but the next dish is about fear.
So we normally think about combination flavors, technique, tradition, culture. But this time, we just thought about a feeling. This feeling was the fear. Put your hand into it, guess what it is, and then if you can eat it.
So I can eat this?
Yes, something of this.
Okay.
We finished the mains with a squab dish paired with their kombu or seaweed spaghetti, almonds, and grapes before moving into the final savory course, which was a little bit surprising to say the least.
You can see here that we have a mirror. Why? Normally when you're at home or in a restaurant you can see the other people always sitting, but you never see yourself.
It's true, you never really see yourself when you're dining, so it's really interesting to be confronted with that image of yourself in front of you. This was paired with a little apple cider that was almost like an instant smoked apple cider, and it was time for the craziness to continue in sweet form. Actually, before we do that, there are two different menus that you can get, the classics menu and the seasonal menu. Since I did the classics menu last time, this time I did the seasonal menu, but I had to add a couple classics on. The first was their caviar ball, which had this beautiful bread exterior, but when you bit into it, it oozed out with caviar and melted creme fraiche, and it's one of the best bites I've ever had in my entire life. The second one I knew was coming, but they still managed to surprise me.
Try to take it. That's nothing in it. It's a visual effect.
Oh my goodness.
It's so fun and creative, and I really just couldn't stop thinking about this corn and foie gras dish. But anyway, now it's actually time for dessert, and we had to wash our hands first.
Inside of the rose and on the flowers, we have the rose water, and we like to clean your hands to cut for all the desserts.
Now that that's out of the way, the first dessert was actually a proposal, where they present you with a ton of different little engagement rings as desserts. They encourage you to pick one out, try it on, and then eat the ring. This was followed by their flower explosion, which was a frozen elderflower powder topped with all these little edible flowers and paired with a rosemary, honey, and tangerine side. Genuinely one of the lightest and most refreshing desserts that I've had, and a perfect way to transition from savory to sweet. We then had this almond coulant with umeboshi cherry sorbet on the side, but the crazy thing here is that the almond coulant was made entirely from almonds. There was no flour and no eggs used in this at all. Now, I've never had salad as a dessert, but the next course was their interpretation of a Waldorf salad that was made with all these different flavors of granitas and sorbets, and was followed by this black apple dish that comes with this beautiful display that shows sort of the progression of black apples in the production process. Their black apple was paired with brown butter ice cream and flourless puff pastry. By this point, I was absolutely full. Genuinely, all of the complaints about fine dining leaving you hungry did not apply here, because this was one of the largest meals that I've ever had. But to my mistake, I thought that dinner had ended when there was one last really impressive dish to come. This massive tree arrives at the table, and it was littered with all of these different little pastries and candies and treats that are hidden throughout, so you have to try to find them and eat them. It was like playing a game of hide and seek to finish, except I was playing against the dish itself. And it honestly was a perfect way to end this meal, a perfect representation of what Disfrutar is and who they are. Look, I'm not gonna waste your time here. Disfrutar is one of the most unique experiences that you will ever have in your life. And hopefully this video does just a little bit to convince you to try it out. If you like these types of videos, definitely subscribe. Let me know where you want to see me go next. But for now, I'll see you later.